Greetings, I'm Adair Watters, and I work with our Advent archivers. We have gone through most of the collected material, the historic material that the church has saved through the years, and we are in the process of conserving it and scanning it and putting it on the cloud for future research. Headstone restoration in our historic graveyard seemed to be a natural tuck-in to the work that we were doing. And in addition to the restoration, Adair Watters, one of our team members, has gone through our cemetery and completed a survey of it that she has cross-referenced with other surveys that have been done in the past. And it's really a remarkable piece of work about our historic graveyard. The term graveyard is often used interchangeably with cemetery, but a graveyard refers to burials specifically in a churchyard. In Spartanburg County alone, there are about 500 cemeteries, half of which are in churchyards and half of which are family cemeteries, many in pretty bad repair. Brad Steinecke is one of our local historical librarians, and he wrote an interesting phrase about the Church of the Advent some years ago in an article. He says, "With its rough-hewn stonework and crowded tombstones, more than any other church in Spartanburg, the Advent has the feeling of an old-world churchyard." However, in the 1850s, not only did we almost not have a graveyard, we almost didn't have a church in this location. The original deed of gift of the Church of the Advent specified that there would be no burial sites or graveyard on the premises. The heirs brought that up after some people had been interred on the property, but before the original nave was built. And this had to be settled and wrangled through the courts, and finally in 1857 it was settled and the building plans were able to proceed. Adair Watters' work has found that until 1884, burials on the Advent property were pretty casual. The vestries had not outlined any plots or burial plots, and they had not sold any plots to anyone. However, in 1884, they decided that they should put together a plat and develop sellable plots, and they began to do so for 12.5 cents per square foot of land. In 1894, the vestry decided that they probably should sell only to Advent members, so that resolution was made. And then they did make exceptions sometimes for non-resident Episcopalians, as it says in the vestry minutes. Some interesting notes about our graveyard. There's a wide variety of markers here, ranging from flat to monumental, and all are made of stone. There are 31 Confederate veteran iron crosses you can see as you wander through the graveyard. And our parish records indicate that there are about 20 burials that are not marked. Niches were added in the columbarium, which was constructed about 1986, followed by more niches in the bell tower and then across the street in the columbarium as well. Some markers of interest in our graveyard are in the north side. The earliest burials are on the north side of the church. The first was in 1849, and that was the son of the rector of the church, the first rector, John D. McCullough. His name was Benjamin Hart McCullough, and his memorial is right behind McCullough's memorial right up behind me. Others, the founding members, William and Amelia Irwin and Joseph Marsh Elford, are also buried on the north side. As you've probably noticed, there's a large Cleveland plot with many Cleveland family members, including Georgia Alden Cleveland, for whom a bell tower of the church was named. South of the front door and adjacent to Advent Street, one of the prominent markers is to Dr. Lionel Kennedy and his wife Helen Fasu Kennedy. The Kennedys gave property for our first library in Spartanburg. It was known as the Kennedy Free Library, and it's now known as the Spartanburg County Library. The Geddes family in the next group of memorials here was a prominent family in the church and actually crafted many memorials, many of the stones or headstones in this section of the graveyard. And towards the end of the first row is Edward Gwathmey, who was the president of Converse College for 20 years. Here we are west of the cloister, and in the first row, the obelisk memorializing Columbus Mills. Columbus, North Carolina was named after Columbus Mills, and Mills Avenue in Spartanburg was named after Govan Mills, who's also buried here. There are a number of the Civil War markers representing or memorializing family members there. William H.K. Pendleton, the rector for 30 years, along with his wife, his 9-year-old son, and his daughter are interred behind me to my left. And the large Manning plot right behind me here includes the marker for state legislator Sam Phillips Manning, longtime member of this church. The Wilson plot back in this corner is the only plot in the graveyard that is fenced in. The fenced Wilson plot was square at first, but then it was reworked to apparently accommodate a tree. The tree is long gone, but the fence still has the curve in it that was allowed for the tree. Stanyon Wilson is interred there. He also was a state legislator and a prominent member. One of the larger monuments to the east of the church is the Lucas Monument, and at one time the Lucas family owned the strip of land behind the church all the way from Main Street to Kennedy Street. Lastly, Richard Thompson's grave site is under the transept right here to my right. Richard Thompson was buried before that transept was built, and there is a marker on the wall downstairs in the undercroft memorializing Richard Thompson. I could go on talking about these grave sites, but let me just point out that graveyards are solemn places and we visit respectfully. They are interesting, and if we listen to the stories that are told in these graveyards, we can learn an awful lot. To learn more about the Advent Archives and to see more of the work that we have done, the Archives room is just beyond the reception room in the parish office building in Satterley Hall, and lots more archive material and photographs and artifacts are on display there. And let me mention also that copies of John Edmonds' book about the history of the Church of the Advent are available, and I think it's something that most Advent member families would enjoy having.